Doom Patrol. What the F?
And mine's dog.
The Team of Misfits has been made into a TV show in 2019, now on to its third season. When it came out, it was a relatively new idea for a lot of people. Like, what is this Doom Patrol? Not really affiliated with the Justice League, barely with the Teen Titans. Their most iconic run was by comics' lovable weirdo, Grant Morrison. Though funny enough, from my personal experience, I feel like I had a decent idea of them, making me feel just a little more ready for this exquisite sort of show. So for starters, they appeared in an episode of Batman the Brave and the Bold, being a surprisingly dark one with the team being split apart for a very specific reason. It's hard to say if it holds up, but still a solid intro to this colorful team, and can't deny it comes with a very bold ending. Also, they appeared around the same time within DC Nation shorts, barely more than a minute long. And I gotta say, this is easily the best of Doom Patrol, showing the characters in their wackiest and cheesiest.
56 seconds, 57 seconds.
If I think Doom Patrol, this shit is what I think about. In fact, I plan to sprinkle this analysis video with tons of clips from there, so enjoy. Only complaint is that they were not longer, which is basically a sign of perfection.
Go, 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 negative man!
Also, one last thing to note with this Doom Patrol introduction for me is that I was basically introduced to them before the X-Men. Yes, I'd be blessed that the Doom Patrol made an impression on me before X-Men. I recall later on seeing some X-Men stuff and being like, person in a wheelchair with students seems familiar. I had the true DC experience and I feel fantastic. Anyway, all of this was around 2010, jumping like 8 years later to their guest appearance within Titans, which I actually wasn't watching totally regularly. I saw that the grim and groggy Titans was suddenly introduced to these kind of fun characters. I mean, look at this, it's Negative Man. Then behold, the fucking Doom Patrol show is coming out. I was kinda stoked. I was getting into the show. I totally dug it. For about, the first 5 episodes. Well, actually, all of season 1 had me decently hooked, which is impressive considering this is the longest of them, 15 freaking episodes. But then the second season came out and I really was not feeling that. Oh god, this stupid. And then with season 3, it started to pick up some of that fire. But not quite what it was. Overall, there's a lot to cover within this show. For starters, it's fair to say it's the kind of show that had one of those really banger intro first seasons, which got a lot of people talking, then just haven't heard as much as time gone on. Where's the second part? High top. Trust me, I've seen this with a lot of series. From Mr. Robot, Westworld, certain Marvel Netflix shows, Stranger Things, probably even more that I couldn't even remember. To be honest, I blame it on people's attention spans. I mean, a lot of these shows, even Doom Patrol is just saldish afterwards. And maybe part of it is that when engrossed in a show, it's just harder to articulate feelings. So you just want to stick with the experience. I mean, movie reviewing is hot shit, because it's only like 2 hours. You're lucky if the first few set of episodes to a season could capture that sort of bottle-like quality. But in general, it's just hard to know how freaking long a TV show would be. Like cases where it's like 20-something 50-minute damn episodes per season. How do you process that? That's too much. But anyway, while I do sort of put Doom Patrol in the positive camp, it still lost quite a bit as it went along. So let's break it down. For starters, to basically cut the chase, part of the issue is the characters. They're kind of stuck in their hole, which is kind of part of a point. I mean, the team's called Doom Patrol, but it doesn't mean that I can't get grading. I'm gonna go by character to show what I mean. First off, Robot Man. He actually starts off as the POV character, one we see recovering after his Doom Patrol-esque accident.
Good as the day I was assembled, Toots.
And at least at the start, he proves to be quite a big driving force within the team. He is the member that accepts the call to action motivating the others, as well as helping Crazy Jane's recovery. That's a big step. He also has an interesting angle, which is not being able to feel anything, which is displayed to be very maddening. It also proves to be a very helpful ability within specific circumstances. However, something just happens to Cliff which renders him totally unlikable. It starts with a revelation of what Niles did to everyone on the team. At the end of Season 1, everyone reacts negatively, but most fault Cliff, understandably so considering he missed out on being able to raise his daughter. But it doesn't end up looking good when he just ends up being totally counterproductive. He's totally disrespectful to Chief and his daughter, ends up scaring his own pregnant daughter, ends up getting desperate with his severed human finger. It's no wonder he was flung in space. And the thing is, all of this could have been justified at the end with redemption. But nope, not really. Maybe there was more planned in Season 2, but things are cut short and boop, nothing more other than fighting a projection of Jesus. Niles and Dorothy move on, hardly a lick of closure with Cliff redempting on that. Oh, and then in Season 3 he has Alzheimer's, and he's selling everyone shit. Out of all the characters, he ends up being the most unlikable.
Good grief, it's a gorilla!
Which isn't helpful if he's the loud, boisterous one who drops the fudger. You can't make your loud, boisterous character unlikable, just makes it harder to watch. Anyway, some props on the Robot Man look and the way it moves. Kind of evident it's a guy in a suit. Hard to imagine him doing some of the high-stakes action that he's supposed to be known for doing. Curious how much Brendan Fraser is even in this suit. Funny seeing him here and him mostly giving a vocal performance. Curious how much behind-the-scenes stuff there is there. He may have had some high points, particularly in Season 1. We could all be happy for him helping Jane, but whoever he was isn't reflected by how he becomes. Next is Larry Traynor, aka the Negative Man, who might be my favorite overall character. He's pretty noteworthy considering that there's a big whooping change from the comic, that being he's gay. Original comics Larry didn't have this dilemma, but this show does, and I'm honestly fine with it, especially considering this is what X-Men have borrowed from. If they a gay analogy, shit, why not make one of the main three gay? Robot Man doesn't count. He didn't choose to be an asexual, non-feeling robot. Rita, well, it's common to make the LGBT character female, but they had other ideas with her, and while Negative Man can't touch anyone, the metaphor of holding it in really fits here. Also, it's fair to note that the actor Matt Bomer is in fact gay, and also with that, he's easily the strongest actor in my opinion. He shows a lot of real feeling restraint a lot of the time.
No, don't you dare, you little...
And really delivers on the emotional and lively moments. It's also worth noting that Matt Bomer in fact has had vocal performances, both as Superman and Flash in animated movies. That's really damn impressive. I've had issues with Justice Society movie, but Bomer did a really great job as Flash. Pulls off a good, confident hero type. Also personally, I like him being in Doom Patrol here over other weird show, American Horror Story. I may have my issues with DP, but it's not the disgusting mess the other show is. And better gay rep here at that too. A negative I will say with the Negative Man is honestly, why you change the design of a Negative Spirit? Like, it's such a neat look within the comic, being this black force with light energy around it. A negative, I must say. Contrast the show where he's just an electricity blob. How lame is that? They took something that was so conceptually cool, just to throw it out for, I don't know, you thought this was more realistic? Was it harder to adapt to older thing? Y'all need to have some more balls. Also, the Negative Spirit himself, especially in Season 1, ends up being more of an ex machina than Cliff. Nonetheless, the whole look of Negative Man is cool. He's a burnt side. Damn, looks bad. And Matt Bomer really rocks it. Now dissecting into some character stuff, it all just rocks. It's a journey of self-love with the Negative Spirit, where this force ends up making him confront his past, trying to understand how he operates.
Thank you.
Could result in sweet moments like with his ex-lover, or not so much so like with his estranged son. Interesting contrasting that with Cliff, who has mega loves for his. Everyone has different priorities, I guess. Also worth noting he could technically last longer without the Negative Spirit here.
Clear up, boys, and let Elastigirl settle this.
Anyway, then there's Lorida, who out of all the main characters in the show has possibly the least of an impression, which isn't really a slight, just the way they are all presented, and she still has fleets of engagement. Her powers are a slight change from the comics, as she doesn't have near as much control. In fact, she's constantly falling apart, resorting to blobbiness, which makes sense considering that normally Elastigirl doesn't have the affliction that the other two notable ones have. And normally we don't see stretchy people being reduced to grotesque forms, yet here we are. Now, relating to her character, well, there's a little more there. A lot of it relates to self-confidence, having a high ego with her starish prestige, and trying to retain such so not to become pudding. It's been alluded that she's done something pretty awful in the past, convincing someone to have miscarried, which has resulted in her losing friend. Like, we all make mistakes. We don't need to be judged by them. It's funny, out of all the characters, she's the one Mr. Nobody helps mend. She's honestly one of the few characters that actually fared a little better in Season 2, where she straight up has a chance to start acting again, even having a little superhero alias of her own, the Beekeeper. Look at her. A member of the Doom Patrol is actually trying to be a superhero. I have a soft spot for her. Of course, a lot of it gets ditched by Season 3. Then she becomes the catalyst for time travel. That's a whole other can of worms. Anyway, next is Jane. Crazy Jane. Now, as stated at some point in the past before, a split personality trope is one of the worst to give someone. It just seems lame to give someone a whole reel of various characters to play. And of course, unpredictable. However, situations like this could be most favorable, with a strong enough actor to portray multiple performances. And Diane Guerrero definitely has a lot of fun there. Also, this is one of the few times the trope is not vilified, which honestly really helps her stand out from others. So respect there, and overall one of the stronger cases of this kind of character. Still, other issues like portraying the internalized mechanisms of how this psychology works, good for you, your guess is as good as mine, was way more dynamic in the intro episode of Season 1, compared to later on where they're all cooped up. Also, something worthy of note is that unlike the other three main members of the Doom Patrol, we will touch on Wildcard Cyborg later, is that she's not in fact part of the original roster. However, she is a Grant Morrison creation, the only one on this team to be such so. And it makes sense since she has a different vibe from the rest, like way more out there. And there are various scenarios where she deliberately acts different, like with the prospect of returning back to a normal life. She starts out as someone that's hard to get to know. I mean, she has 64 personalities then, who even is the real Jane? Nonetheless, there are still flares of a definitive personality, even earlier on. She's actually established to have more incentive than others, being the main driving force to get the team to head to town. And to be frank, she ends up going for the most shit out of all of them, especially feeling the most betrayed by the chief. I will say when it comes to a lot of the mental stuff, it feels that, I don't know, something's off. Like if we were to contrast the comics stuff for a bit. Well, first maybe a positive. In the comics, the long-nailed lady was unforgiving towards Cliff, whereas in the show, the robot loophole actually worked. Not exactly a change for the better, but considering they're trying to explore a arc with Jane, makes sense that she would have a soft spot for Robot Man, considering he has no hormones. But when it comes to the monster that represents her father, in the show they try to make him a big, epic thing, mostly obscured in darkness. I don't even know what he's made of. In the comic, however, I mean, he just looks fucking disgusting. The color, apparently he's made out of feces and spiders. Also, Jane's voice, which just makes it unnerving. I get having the cinematic conquering of mental demons. It's something to strive towards, but I don't know, it could have used more mind tricks.
I am not afraid of you! I am not afraid!
Also, I must say, why is Miranda a different actor? I could see with other personalities of what Jane could never be, but Miranda was a primary. Why can't Diane play off herself here? Is it just too hard? Spiffy her up a bit. Anyway, and now we have Cyborg, and what the hell, why is he on the team? Now, interjecting from the comics, it is in fact Beast Boy who is the Teen Titans member that was once Doom Patrol. And as stated, there was an episode of Titans which displayed such, which took place before the current events of Doom Patrol. Now, whether or not that episode was canon, some people debate so. Personally, I don't see why not, at least in some form. I mean, yeah, Chief is played by a different actor, but you could just assume slightly different universe where he grew up different. But anyway, I don't see why they couldn't have this side adventure before the main. But anyway, as far as Cyborg here, well, he has an opposite effect compared to what Beast Boy into Patrol means. Like, our Cyborg actually starts out as a well-established hero, being set up for the Justice League before the Patrol. To our knowledge, he's also never interacted with Titans before. with Doom Patrol being his first collaborative team here. So basically it's the reverse of Beast Boy, whereas he basically started out in the Doom Patrol, to later grow on his own outside of it. Cyborg started out outside of a Doom Patrol, where his development is actually being worked into it, to then be a complementary member of DP. There's a lot notable about the character, as he often flips around, being wildly portrayed with different agendas, from being the more boisterous big brother type from the Teen Titans, to being the more reserved and focused member within the Justice League. Almost makes sense to just throw him within the Doom Patrol, and this portrayal takes a radically different turn, as here he is, well, the professional on the team, the one that knows how to lead and get shit done, leading to some possibly the most humorous dynamic, where despite him being serious, no one really takes him seriously. Also, like other Doom Patrol members, fantasizing about what it's like to team up with Cyborg. It's kinda cute. Cyborg's also in relatively good spirits, reflecting more of an upbeat attitude and optimism over the dreariness some others portrayed. Heck, would someone argue this is the best version of a character due to its freshness?
Without a doubt, this is the best version of Victor Stone Cyborg that's been written in literally years. You see,
however, I would personally contend no, not by a long shot. The story they tell with him is ass, one of the sloppiest portrayals ever as far as I care. And a lot of it was within Likeable Season 1. So okay, to how he is Doom Patrol worthy. Well, the accident that created him, the one that sometimes froze in his mom dying, well, it shows he literally started that accident. Like, that is, wow, big what? Oh, and after all of this, his father is still trusted to mentor over him, moderate him. Okay, hold up. How is this allowed? Cyborg is shown to be a very public hero. He is the face of Star Labs. How would this organization allow this? And Buddy Vic, how are you okay with this? You killed your mom, your father's wife. How is he okay with going along with this, letting his dad tinker with him? Oh, and it gets even juicier. So in episode 2, out of the 3 characters who went into the donkey, Vic got it the worst, being plain the idea that he's been tinkered with so much, he can't even trust his own memory. Which could be damn fascinating for the character, but then how do they execute this? Like, what exactly has been altered? Well, it's revealed after his little reunion with Silas. It's the fact the secret is his mom was not totally dead from the accident, and just that Silas was given an ultimatum between saving his wife and son, and the wife pleaded the son. Like, okay, I don't know why that needed to be a tinkered memory. It seemed it would have been more dynamic to do something like, despite seeming like the impulsive brat, he wasn't, but Silas was just vindictive. Or that the memory he saw was not him being an impulsive brat, but then he saw he was, and then after seeing this and being his father, it would be like, oh shit, am I a horrible person? Is this a facade? But anyway, nah, that memory stuff was just sacrificial stuff beyond his control. So like, overall, the components are right there to like, tell something compelling with Cyborg. And for the record, I really like the practical look of the guy. May not be the most convincing, but I don't know, I still like it. But the fact is, a lot of his Cyborg stuff just feels deeply muddled by the fact none of this makes sense. This type of situation just wouldn't happen, especially with networks this high. You want some good Cyborg? The best I'd say is like Young Justice. It's somewhat standard cyborgy stuff, but a lot of the dynamics in the arc actually feel much more believable. Plus, it was kind of neat to time with the show's more unique character Halo. Interaction scene is overall one of the better looking ones. I mean, even the Zack Snyder Justice League Cyborg, there's clearly a lot of heart there. I stand with Ray Fisher. Look what you did, Doom Patrol Cyborg. You muddled things up so bad, you have been complimenting 4x3 movie.
It's me you want, broke ass.
Anyway, you know what? Ranking these characters, 5 Robot Man, 4 Jane, 3 Vic, 2 Rita, 1 Larry. Whew. You know, a lot of this before was recorded before the season 3 has ended, and there was a lot of ideas of what to go with this. I'm honestly pretty content with just exploring this mess of the characters, since that's kind of the whole driving force of the show and what gets people attached to it. Going over the overall story, that's a whole other tangle of bananas. I mean, holy, what was even Season 2? Season 3, well, props moving a little bit away from Morrison stuff, though the Brotherhood of Evil was underutilized. Like, Mala and Brain were great. I mean, crap, an actual talking gorilla? Didn't think of him as one before. Take that, CW show.
They are no match for giant robot Raj.
but they appear minimally as a we retired thing. Also, yeah, the flagellation, that totally rebooted a lot of characters. Cliff's still fucking insufferable though. But anyway, last thing of note, when season 3 premiered, I was seeing Titans, seeing if I could get through this season, but they honestly had a really strong start, which really countered a lot of the vibes I got from season 2. I literally stopped watching Titans after that. Then what do you know, as the show got along, something else appeared. Young Justice, dropping without a trailer. Man, that show is so my jam. But anyway, point is, DPTers just serve a lot of things I can't get through, but more power to people who connect to them. I could definitely feel that, and who knows, maybe we could have a bit of a conversation. Also, really quickly to rank seasons, unlike Total Drama, I at least give respect to rank. Season 1, overall a 6 out of 10. Keep in mind, 5's like an average. So this would be like a lucky B-. The high point being the D-Creator stuff, specifically the second half where Alan Tudyk lined things up. The time travel stuff makes no sense, yet it is so genius. Buried into subconscious and mentally ill people. But anyway, going to season 2. Oh, that's a really tempting 2, but I'll go 3. Just the dealing of mortality, the candle maker, In season 3, it's a bit of a toss-up. I don't know, let's go 5. Felt really close saying 4. But anyway, I'll keep in touch with the show, see how these wild characters go. Also, by the way, I made these a while back after season 1. The whole dressing up of action figures. Why don't I wear these suits more? It would be neat doing a little some Doom Patrol. Anyway, best.